Welcome to the Planeswalker Project.
Greetings, Planeswalkers! Today, we're going to be talking about a topic that's quite the subject of debate in Commander. Tutors! Demonic Tutor, Mystical Tutor, Enlightened Tutor, Fetch Land. The cards that let you go through your library, find the card you need, and BAM! You got it in your hand! It's like magic! But what value and effect do tutors have in Commander? Is it possible that the very concept of Commander is somehow compromised when you include a great deal of tutors in a deck? Or are they crucial to a deck's construction? Let's take a look. So in Commander, not counting basic lands, you were only permitted to run one copy of any given card. Unless you're that guy who decided to call us on the guy using Relentless Rats or Shadowborn Apostle, but who am I to tell you what to run? But with a singleton deck, the odds of drawing the exact card you need at any specific time is slim. I'm not that mathematically inclined, so don't ask for specific numbers, but it is highly unlikely at any given turn to pull the key card you need to give you the answer that you're looking for. This is Yu-Gi-Oh! This isn't any of that hard cards bullshit. So how do you go about building a deck with any degree of consistency when your deck inherently cannot have consistency? Unfortunately, this is the nature of Commander and singleton formats in general, but we do have some degree of remedy for this situation. Tutors can help you dig through your deck to get to the card that you want. Some tutors, like Cruel Tutor, don't move the card to your hand, but instead will put it on top of your library. This ensures that unless you shuffle before your next draw, you're going to draw the card you need. Others, like Demonic Tutor, can move the card directly to your hand. The one subtle ruling with tutors is, unlike most other card games where searching through your deck or library for a card, you do not need to reveal the tutor card unless that card specifically says to reveal the card, such as Enlightened Tutor. How do tutors benefit Commander? Well, as a start, the obvious one is that they'll guarantee you the card you want when you need it. Running a card like Eladamri's Call will guarantee you whatever creature you need to pull, and in some effect act as another copy of that card. The slight drawback of casting the tutor and spending the mana on it is made up by 100% getting that specific card. This might not seem like much to some, but in a game where the odds are automatically against you, having a card to help tip the scales in your favor is a godsend. For combo players, rather than having to wait out until you draw all the pieces of your combo, you can just search your library for them and hastening your strategy overall. Let's look at some of the best tutors in Magic and how they are best used. Demonic Tutor is arguably the best tutor in all of Magic. A 2-drop with no drawback that moves any card to your hand is an amazing power. Given that black is notorious for its tutors hurting you to search for or some life paying or some additional cost, this is a very powerful effect. Demonic Tutor is sort of a younger sibling, a significantly less effective Diabolic Tutor that costs twice as much mana for the same ability. Yes, Diabolic Tutor also sends the search card to your hand, but you're paying 4 mana instead of 2. This is a drastic difference between casting it on turn 2 or turn 4. With Demonic Tutor, you don't spend a lot of mana to cast the tutor, so you might have some mana left at your disposal to cast the searched card. With Diabolic Tutor, you're very likely going to have to wait around before you can cast the card. Moving on, Enlightened Tutor is ideal for Voltron builds and decks are focused on artifacts or enchantments. A 1-drop white instant that moves any artifact or enchantment to the top of your library is extremely powerful. It's an instant card type will allow you to play this card just before the end of your opponent's turn, ensuring at the beginning of your next turn, the card you dug for is right there for you. This card has one weakness of not moving it to your hand and risking the card shuffling away before you get to draw it somehow, but it's not a frequent enough occurrence to make me dislike this card. Again, we have the cheap to cast quality, which makes it a very valuable card, and its flexibility in what we get to search for makes it even more useful in decks that might have to search for various cards for various answers. Mystical Tutor is a pretty interesting tutor, another 1-drop instant, this time in blue, that searches for an instant or sorcery to put on top of your library. This is extremely powerful if you're in a control deck or run cards like Miracles, hence why it's banned in Legacy. Again, the flexibility I love about Enlightened Tutor is present here, and not being limited to just instants or sorceries. Blue also has a great deal of draw power, so there's a good chance that you'll be drawing that card right away. Vampiric Tutor is like a combination of the aforementioned tutors. You get to move a card from your library to the top, but you lose 2 life. This is a powerful ability, but not quite nearly as potent as Demonic Tutor, even though it is a 1-drop instant. The card still goes to the top of your deck, making you unable to use the card until you draw it. Still, it's another good card to set up gas for the next turn, whether it be Miracles or some other powerful gas. Now, an unfortunate thing you may have noticed if you were to go through all the tutors of Magic, red really doesn't have a whole lot in the way of tutors. There are a few cards that let you search for things in red, but frequently these cards are very narrow in their usage and as a result not very effective in most commander decks. Imperial Recruiter is about as close to a broad tutor as red gets, not counting Goblin Recruiter because he's no fun. Okay, so you've looked at what's good about tutors, but a lot of people think that tutor cards should be banned in Commander. I find this a very interesting argument, as with tutor cards, your 100-card singleton deck becomes a lot easier to manage. The odds of you drawing into any card are significantly improved when you have various ways to manipulate the cards that you draw. Cards like fetch lands can even be considered tutors, as they help get lands from your deck to help smooth your mana ramp in multicolored decks when you might not be running a whole lot of lands that produce your secondary or tertiary color. I can understand that in a format such as Commander, a format widely accepted as a casual, fun format, in making cards more easily accessed via tutoring, you make your deck more similar to a constructed 60-card deck. Your deck is more easily filtered through, and your deck strategy can become a little more consistent. Against a player who might not run any tutors or cannot afford them, you will have an unfair advantage. Because this is the next issue with tutor cards. The best tutors in Magic are expensive. Several tutor cards were more recently printed in Eternal Masters, which increased the supply of these cards if only by a bit, but they are still relatively expensive to acquire. There are of course some inexpensive tutors like Increased Ambition, but many of these cheaper tutors aren't quite as potent as their more competitively based counterparts. And the fact that these cards that can be considered as more competitive, again, is Commander. It's a casual format. Do these cards take away from the nature of the format? I personally run a few tutors in my decks that I physically own, but I really don't own a whole lot of the higher end tutors like Vampiric Tutor and such. I do have a copy of Demonic Tutor, I don't know, I got it somehow, which is currently in my Atraxa deck, but I generally don't have the ability to drop a whole lot of money into building a commander deck because old billsy stuff, so I don't have access to some of these expensive tutor cards. I do have things like Green Sun Zenith, which I guess you can consider as a tutor for creatures, but I don't really have the financial stability to get some of these expensive cards, which I guess would put me at a disadvantage against some of the more competitive builds, but that's just my situation. Perhaps your scenario is a little different. Perhaps you have the financial stability to put money into some of these expensive cards, but you choose not to. I want to hear your thoughts. What are your opinions on tutor cards in Commander? Do you feel that they are crucial parts of deck building to help make your deck better? Or do you think it goes against the very spirit of the format? I want to hear you guys talk in the comments below. Is there another subject you'd like to hear me babble on about? I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it has given you some thought about Commander as a format as a whole. Let me know in the comments below what you think, and if you like what you see, remember to hit that thumbs up. It makes me feel better about myself. Also, if you'd like to stick around and see some more future content, remember to hit that subscribe button. And with that, I will see you guys next time.